Hello students, I wanted to take a time and make a video to actually show you guys how to fill out the mastery tracker that you're going to be using for the rest of the year. So across all of my classes, you're going to see this, but I'm just going to click into this CS1 class that I have here, and you're going to go to modules. So the first module you're going to see is this useful resources. And this is something I'm doing across all my classes because there are some things that are going to be pertinent for the entire year that I'm going to put into these useful resources column so that you're able to come and find it at the top of all your modules to see what you're actually going to need to know or things that you're going to click on often. So right here, you're going to see a mastery tracker. It could say mastery tracker, student data tracker, something like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to open this. It's going to open up in a new tab, or it might open up in a new tab that you have to click through, but they're all going to kind of look the same. And the first page is going to be just the instructions, and I'm going to go over these steps here, and then I'm going to go over the tips for success after I go over the steps. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to open up this second sheet, and if you click down here at the bottom, you can see that it says student tracker. And it's going to load up this sheet, and you can see that there are some things that I've already put in here. All right, let me actually just go ahead and delete those. For example, you're going to notice here that these are the last four of your student ID. So I want to look at this and I'm going to say, what if my student ID was 790935? So you can see it right here, it's 0935. Just chop off the first two numbers of your student ID. And then what you're going to do is that's going to be the row that you're going to be working in. So we're going to start this semester with 3.4 if else lesson practice. You're going to view the slides. You're going to go through the lessons. You're going to go through the videos. You're going to go through that code along, kind of like what we've been doing so far this year. And what you're going to do is you're going to do the lesson practice. So it tells you that this is the lesson practice that you're going to be doing. I'm going to take that lesson practice. Maybe there's 4 questions. Maybe there's 5 questions. Depending on how many questions there are, you're trying to get above 80% out of all those questions. Okay. Say you got above a 90%, then you click this drop down, you click the button that says master greater than 90%. Maybe you got maybe you got a question wrong and you only got 80% or above. Maybe you got an 85%, depending on how many questions are available. Then you've met that learning objective. You met the objective for that lesson. And you're going to put down how many attempts it took you to get that far. So maybe you got 80% or above and it took you 1 attempt. Then you're going to put down the date completed. Now, once it's green, you have the green light to move on. So you're going to come here, you're going to fill this out after every single one of these lessons. And these are already put into the grade book so you can see exactly when they're due. But you're going to click that, say maybe you move on and you get 80% on the lesson practice. But maybe over here on the 3.4 code practice, maybe you're doing all that coding practice and maybe you don't do so well on one of the coding practices so that you fall below an 80%. What you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, I'm in progress. I've done 1 attempt. You're going to try it again. You're going to try to submit your answer again, try to see how it goes. And then you're going to say, okay, maybe I'm still in progress and I submitted again. I didn't do so well, so I'm going to take a break, but I'm going to record that I have attempt number 2. So maybe you come back an hour or 2 later or something, and you actually figure out what was going wrong in your code. Well, now you're going to say, okay, whatever, maybe you got 100%, you got it all fixed and you're good. You're going to hit master. You're going to add that attempt, and then you're good to go on. That's all you have to do. So how many of these are you supposed to be doing per week? Well, what I'm planning is that you guys are going to be doing 2 of these per week. And then you're going to have here, and again, you're going to have all of these listed in Canvas about what you're supposed to be doing every week. But here's where the tips come in. Really, the big thing is that you want to stay ahead of that 2 lesson per week minimum pace. Okay. Now, the reason for that is because it gives you more time on the lessons that are going to be more challenging. Maybe there's a test that you're not going to do so well on. Maybe there's a coding assignment or a lesson that you don't do so well on. You're going to need tutoring. You're going to need extra time to do that. Well, if you're ahead of the minimum pace, you have the time to get that done. The next tip is that I'm still accessible. You guys can still ask me questions. You can still ask your classmates questions, but this allows you guys to work together and to get some more one-on-one help for the things that you really need to practice instead of just kind of going through it all together in one big group. The third tip that I want to point out is, yes, there are videos, yes, there are slideshows, and yes, you could go through the lesson practice clicking a million times and you could probably pass it on the millionth try. But you're probably going to fail the test. You're probably not going to be able to get out of any of that coding practice unless you actually go through those videos and practice yourself, okay? You're going to fail if you don't let that lesson sink in first. So really take your time and actually pursue these videos and go through those code along practices and play with your code so that you can actually learn the lessons that are being taught. And lastly is, if you fall behind, don't worry about that you're falling behind. Just continue making up your work, spending some extra time, asking for help. And even if you miss class, you always have access to these materials. So even if you miss class, remember, 2 lessons per week, that's the minimum pace. So if you fall, if you know you have like a game coming up, if you know you have like a doctor's appointment coming up, or a trip planned with your family, this is why it's so important to stay ahead of the pace. Because if you work ahead, you can actually spend that time to take care of your health or spend time with your family because you've moved ahead and you've gotten your work done up until that point. Now, if you're behind, you're going to be stressing about falling further and further behind if you have to miss class. So I hope that explains what you're going to be doing here. I'm going to show you guys in class again, and if you need to review anything, of course, just rewind this video to what you need to see and what you need to view. If anything doesn't make sense, you guys can just reach out to me. You know I'm always here to help y'all. I'm Mr. Hernandez, and this was Mr. Hernandez Teaches.